Welcome to Ben on Breaking News. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is your breaking news. Breaking news moments ago, a hearing wrapped up in a Washington, D.C. federal court regarding MeidasTouch host Katie Fang's lawsuit against Donald Trump's Department of Justice and Attorney General Todd Blanche. This was under the Epstein Transparency Act, and you had a federal judge making it very clear that contempt is an option if the Trump regime continues down this path of obstruction. The judge says, we're not there yet, but the judge made it very clear that is a tool in my toolkit. We'll be hearing more from Katie Fang throughout the day. She is an absolute hero for fighting for these survivors and pursuing transparency under the Epstein Transparency Act. So we're going to talk about that a little more on the show. Aaron Parnas, affiliated, of course, with the MeidasTouch Network. Aaron's got his own YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Aaron's YouTube channel. Aaron's been breaking news regarding the families of service members, Navy sailors, and Marines aboard the U.S. supercarriers in the Middle East and how awful the conditions are there. I got to give a hat tip as well to the Military Times, to Stars and Stripes, to MS Now. They've been doing a lot of good reporting as well, hearing from the military families about what's actually taking place and how our service members are literally trying to jump overboard, take their own lives on these supercarriers because the conditions are so awful. Losing 30, 40, 50 pounds. They're not getting the food they need. And you have Pete Hegseth lying, Trump regime lying, saying, oh, we take care of them. They're doing amazing. It's all lies. And I just want to be very clear. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth hate our military. They hate our troops. Donald Trump called them suckers and losers. Pete Hegseth was awful when he ran. He's awful his whole life. When he ran a nonprofit for veterans. They treat our veterans like shit. They hate our army. They hate our military. They hate America. And we need to just be very clear about that, okay? We don't need to use big fancy words. It's just who they are. They care about enriching Trump, making Trump more money, putting his name on stuff. Even when he is blocked from putting his name on stuff, he's a predator. He's a sicko. And that's who this regime is, right? We're learning moments ago that what Donald Trump is now seeking with the Kennedy Center is he wants to engrave his name onto it, not put the letters, engrave sicko. Freaking sicko. He wants to engrave his name on it and say, and renovated by Donald Trump. That's their way around the court order. And then they want to name the plaza the Trump Kennedy Plaza. Sickos. Sickos. And I wanted to connect what's happening aboard our supercarriers to the reporting that we also did and that others talked about as well, regarding how Hegseth spent in 1 month alone $15.1 million on ribeye steaks. I'm not making this up. $15.1 million on ribeye steaks, $7.9 million on lobster tails, $300 million on new furniture, chairs that cost $1,900 each. That's where they're spending our taxpayer dollars, these sickos. And so remember when they promised Doge dividend checks? Yeah. Fraud. You want to know fraud and abuse? It's what the Trump regime's doing. We ain't getting Doge dividend checks. Obviously, Doge made things way worse. We ain't getting tariff rebate checks. I'll tell you who is. The corporations, they're getting tariff rebate checks. 180, $200 billion or so of tariff taxes, because they're taxes on the importers that were passed on to the consumers. That money's been returned to the companies, but they've kept their prices elevated while we, the people, get screwed. But this is what the Trump regime is doing. And again, you have Katie Fang, her incredible reporting, Aaron Parnas, his incredible reporting. You have Scott McFarlane on the ground. He's been reporting about all of the waste, fraud, and abuse within the Trump regime. He's been documenting each of the wasteful $1 billion here, $1 billion there. And he's been talking to voters in the various swing states. This is the MeidasTouch machine in action. The truthful way to control the narrative by being the voice of the people, not the corporate interests. And you notice Fox looking a little bit desperate, eh? Looking a little bit pathetic, eh? Just ain't landing like it used to, eh? When they would talk about, WNBA, WNBA this, WNBA that. Oh, are the men going to be in the draft? Penis, vagina, blah, blah, blah. We're Fox. We're crazy. Oh my God. Oh, let's make fake issues and pretend we're deranged second graders. Oh. Weak, small, little, irrelevant. This is the way that we take control of the narrative, that we become the voice for the service members who are suffering. We become the voice for the survivors through people like Katie Fang fighting for them in the courts. We become the voice, really shedding light on the waste, fraud, and abuse taking place within the Trump regime. You then bring in a Justin Wolfers. We break down the economics of it all. We start talking about the record deficit for the month of July, right? Never have you had a deficit so big in 1 month in history. Never have you had gas prices on average nationwide so high as they are in August in history. You've got right here the total interest expense for fiscal year 2026 up to $1.17 trillion in fiscal year 2026 alone. So, you know, when I I geek out and I talk about those treasury yields and the treasury bond sales not going well, and I've been saying what that means, the Treasury Department has to pay more interest on this debt that it's out there selling. And what that means is that our debt continues to increase. The deficit continues to grow. That interest has to be paid. Who do you think's paying it? Us and future generations, because Donald Trump is a loser and he's bankrupted things. Just think about it. Wow, who would have predicted? The sexual predator covering up the Epstein files? Who could have predicted that that would happen? The guy who bankrupted casinos, now putting us in a condition where our strategic petroleum reserves are under 300 million barrels right now. We're out of ATACMS. We're out of PAC-3 interceptors. We're out of SM-2, SM-3, and other SM anti-ballistics on the Navy destroyers. Morale is at an all-time low on our supercarriers, where our sailors, our courageous sailors and Marines, are jumping overboard. Some have actually jumped overboard. Some are attempting it because the conditions are so awful there. 25 to 30% of our MQ-9 Reapers have been blown up by Iran. Who would have predicted that the guy who bankrupted all of his companies would do this? I don't know. And here's the thing, too. I don't want any authoritarian leading our country. Let me be very clear about that, okay? This is a pro-democracy network. I think democracy can be slow. It can be frustrating. But ultimately, to me, when you bring together the best minds and science and data, and people can actually fight about ideas and reach compromises, to me, that's actually the best system. Though it has its flaws, it's the best system. But why does our damn authoritarian have to be such a freaking loser? We couldn't get like a strong one? I'm being half sarcastic. I don't want any authoritarian, but we couldn't get like the smart. No, usually they aren't that smart. I'll be clear, because they usually all suffer from malignant narcissism, which is the historical issue with authoritarians. But we couldn't get like the strong one who stares death in the face and says, I'm not afraid of you. Not today. No, we get the guy who hides in the freaking food container truck. That's the thought. What did we do to deserve this humiliation? God, what did we do? Whether you believe in God or don't believe in God. I'm being, I'm being a little bit silly, but I mean it. I go, what did we do to deserve this humiliation ritual every damn day? You got the guy who's supposed to be the commander in chief of the strongest military hiding in catering container trucks with his freaking human printer. What did I do to deserve this? What did I do? Oh my freaking God, the hell is going on here? It's like the most pathetic thing is the most pathetic thing you can do. And then the reporting today with our CIA has been leaking like wild, and they're just like, and the thing is that this was just like a Netanyahu. This is what our CIA is saying. This is just like a Netanyahu plan in order to get the United States to re-engage in the war, which is what happened right after that. Let's not remember. Let's remember we were still in the MOU at that time, right? And then shortly thereafter, we got back into the war, which technically the MOU was being violated every day by Donald Trump and his despicable regime. But it was all like that. You remember, was it the Hillary Clinton debate where she's like, if you can like bait this dude with a tweet, can you imagine? She said what Putin can do to him. Could you imagine what Netanyahu can do? Can you imagine what anyone can do to him? And Iran don't want to kill Donald Trump. Okay. He's their precious. They want to keep that save. They want to save this guy at all costs. You think Iran wants to go after? He's killing America. He's destroying America's military. He's their weapon of mass destruction. They're like, no. Why would they go after that guy? I mean, he destroys the country, the United States, and our alliances every day. You couldn't ask for a more anti-American weapon than how Donald Trump has behaved, hiding in a catering freaking container with Natalie Harp. And then Caroline Leavitt, resigned. She's like, I'm out. It'll be, look, she's horrible human being, awful propagandist. It'll be fascinating to see who can replace. It's a very unique skill set to be able to replace that level of propaganda. So we'll look to see who replaces her. But, lots of people are saying, well, Caroline didn't get to go with Donald in the catering container. She had to go in the old Air Force One, which was the fake target of what Netanyahu claimed was going to be blow up by a shoulder missile, shoulder air missile that hit the old Air Force One. she and Rubio got thrown under the bus. By the way, Marco Rubio, he's been focused on all the important things right now. This clownish regime, right? Do we have this video, Jeremy, of Rubio talking about, the things that really matter to Rubio right now? I think it's his keto plan and how keto makes him so angry. This is, this is a U.S. secretary. And the crazy thing is that Rubio's probably, first off, they're all deranged. When I say of all of the Trump cabinet people, this guy's, I don't know how no offense to clowns, but this is the person who is the most stable of unstable people. This is what he was talking about. Let's play it.
I did at one time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I tried this thing called keto. You've heard of this?
Yeah, keto.
Okay? and you just eat all this protein. And so you go through this massive withdrawal from sugar and carbohydrates for the first 72 hours. It was a near psychotic event for me.
It's true.
If I did this in this job, I would be, Mr. President, we must bomb, Paraguay. And it's like, why? I don't know. I'm just really mad I haven't had any sugar.
I mean, hilarious. When you're actually engaged in war crimes near Paraguay and you're blowing up fishing boats. Let's do jokes about your keto diet while our service members, our Marines and sailors on our supercarriers are losing 40 to 50 pounds because they're not getting food. They're unable to get fruits or vegetables or milk, or, occasionally they can get some frozen meat nuggets. But yeah, go on. Funny. It's all hilarious. It's all hilarious to these people while the American people suffer, while the American people can't afford things, while the American people are experiencing a jobs recession here. It's really funny, Marco Rubio. Funny people. Funny people. Then you have Donald Trump filing an emergency motion saying that we need to keep that unlawful settlement that he entered into with the IRS and with the Treasury Department. And he's ran to the 11th Circuit. And then the DOJ asked the 11th Circuit to remove and reassign the federal judge to a new court. That was their argument, because she called out the collusive settlement agreement between Trump and Trump's IRS and Trump's and Trump's Treasury Department, and said the settlement agreement was pervaded by fraud and collusion. They were saying she needs to be reassigned, is what Trump and the DOJ had the audacity to argue. And you also know the memo that the DOJ put forward, one of Todd Blanche's first acts, saying any conversation that Donald Trump has with anyone outside of the White House that he deems to be an advisor will be deemed executive privilege, such that the Trump regime will take the position that there could be no oversight, and that when Democrats take control, and Democrats are going to take control of the House, and I'm pretty confident Democrats will take control of the Senate, you're going to see a legal version of Donald Trump cowering in a catering container. Oh, don't subpoena. Fight. Don't subpoena. Don't do it. Executive privilege. They can't answer the questions. Folks. This is just it's just pathetic. Just pathetic losers. And again, I don't want any authoritarian leading our country, but man, the manifestation we got were a bunch of freaking scared, coward, loser, stolen valor, pieces of, you know what, I don't like to curse on the show. That's what they are. Let me bring in the interview I did with Aaron Parnas regarding the conditions aboard the U.S. supercarriers. Gerald Ford, Abraham Lincoln. Well, the Gerald Ford left. George H.W. Bush and the Abraham Lincoln are the two that make up Donald Trump's pristine blockade, as he calls it. His perfect blockade, everybody, where he's going to semi-negotiate and just low-key it, man. I'm going to low-key it, yo. Here, play it. He comes up with the flashy name, Epic Fury. He loves the social media post, we win. But then it's like, hey, how are you going to get the food? How are you going to get the mail? How are you going to get the stuff to the troops? When you abandon those bases in the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain and other areas, that was one of the areas that would route the stuff to the ships. And now, because you don't have the interceptors, Iran's able to strike there, which has these third and fourth level consequences of, well, then how do you get the food and the mail and the supplies to our troops who are out there? You can't just keep them there. And it's like, Aaron, they don't think about that. And they just go, if we're asked about it, it's a PR issue. Mm-hmm. No, it's a people issue. The PR issue of you lying, you could do it once.
But the people are there. They ain't PRs. These are lives.
Well, Ben, just imagine if the president wasn't Donald Trump and the president was Joe Biden. Imagine if the Secretary of Defense wasn't Pete Hegseth and it was Lloyd Austin. I mean, if you had these facts come out, just one of these stories, let alone dozens and dozens of service members experiencing the same thing. Imagine one service member tries to jump off an aircraft carrier under the Biden administration. Number one, we'd never hear the end of it. Fox News would be running it on 24/7. Jake Tapper would have written another novel. But number two, Congress would have opened up investigations by now. They would have hauled Lloyd Austin up to Capitol Hill. They would have asked military leaders to testify. James Comer would have opened up an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. I mean, this is as bad as you can get. This is a dereliction of duty. And I asked Governor J.B. Pritzker today whether or not he believes that Trump is essentially fit to command our troops. And he essentially says, no, he's not, right? He has mental health issues. He has possible dementia issues. And now it's a complete just mess as our service members aren't getting the necessary resources abroad. So it's bad. And unfortunately, it's not getting the coverage it deserves.
I'm going to play for you in a moment Aaron's interview with Governor Pritzker, because Pritzker was not holding back. Someone just was watching live. A friend of mine says, "You've done epic entertaining media work, but it will be hard to ever top the segment that you just did, culminating with your perfect mommy. I want to eat my little burger, mommy. Keep up the great work," is what he says. I just got that message right now as I'm doing it. But here's the photo he sent. And I'm not sure if it's the angle of it. I'm not sure if you can see. Is my head really that big? I look like Mr. Garrison. I look like Mr. Garrison. I don't know if it's maybe that's what I look like now. I don't know. I look like Mr. Garrison here. Okay. My dogs don't agree. Should I show you the Aaron clip or should I tease it during the break right now? All right, let's take a quick break and then I'm going to show you Governor Pritzker. I want to ask you about the interview I did this morning with Professor Morandi in Tehran. I want to get your feedback. Okay? I want to get your feedback. Okay? Did you get your copy of WTF America? Pre-order WTF America now. It comes out in October. There's a lot of momentum right now behind the pre-orders. It's not an election book. So if you're looking for an election book, don't get it. If you're looking for a book of how we get out of the cycle that we're in and try to get generational change and how collectively we can build something like we're trying to build here at the MeidasTouch with the Katie Fangs and the Aarons and the Scott McFarlanes and the Legal AFs and the whole crew we've got here. That's what the book is about. How do we build something like that together with you, with us, collectively? All right, let's take a break.
I used to think jeans were just supposed to be a little uncomfortable. You wear them all day, you're adjusting them, the waistband digs in, and you just kind of accept it. Then I tried the Perfect Jean, and these things actually move with you. They have that classic denim look, but they're stretchy and comfortable enough that you're not thinking about your jeans all day. And at $79.99, they're a great value when compared to some of the crazy prices you see for denim. They've got a huge range of sizes, fits, and washes, so you could actually find a pair that fits your body instead of trying to make your body fit the jeans. I absolutely love these things. I got so used to having a pair of jeans that fit the waist okay, but were too long or too short. This solves all of that. Plus, our listeners get 15% off their first order, plus free shipping at theperfectjean.nyc or Google The Perfect Jean and use code TRUTH15 for 15% off. Again, our listeners get 15% off their first order, plus free shipping at theperfectjean.nyc or Google The Perfect Jean and use code TRUTH15, TRUTH15 for 15% off. This episode of the MeidasTouch podcast is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. They use simple ingredients you can pronounce and a slow fermentation process that can be easier on your belly and richer in nutrients and antioxidants. Everything bakes in 25 minutes or less with no thawing required. I love having Wild Grain on hand because when things get busy, I can still have fresh, bakery quality food without making another trip to the store. The sourdough is a favorite in my house, and the croissants are incredible. I especially love the chocolate croissants personally. Their boxes are fully customizable with variety, gluten-free, vegan, and their new protein box. Imagine having fresh bakery quality bread, pastries, and pasta at home without any trips to the store. And don't just take my word for it. They have over 40,000 five-star reviews and have been voted the best food subscription box by USA Today for 3 years in a row. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/Meidas to start your subscription today. That's $30 off your first box and free croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/Meidas, or you could use promo code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS.
Welcome back to Ben on Breaking News. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is your breaking news. Again, you've got hearing, Washington, D.C. I'm going to be bringing on Katie Fang probably sometime later today. But that federal judge, Judge Sullivan, in the case under the Epstein Transparency Act, he was not happy at all about the Trump regime not complying with his orders. The judge made it clear, while we're not at the contempt stage yet, the judge ain't afraid to use it. And you knew it was going to be a pretty important hearing where the judge said, I want to do this in public so that everybody in this country can know what the hell is actually going on. And we need to bring transparency to the Epstein Transparency Act. I just want to let you know how big of a deal it is that Katie Fang has pursued this lawsuit, has created a forum now where the legal process can play out also in public. That's what the purpose behind the Epstein Transparency Act was supposed to be, and what our system is in general. I mean, I just saw during the commercial break that Trump was announcing a new golf resort, this time in Korea. Trump announces Korean golf course, new golf club. That's not what our government, why? That's not what our system should be about. It should be about what could government do to help people. That's the purpose of this, right? And to me, it's such a tell that all of these MAGA people, the level of attention and focus right now on attacking like Mamdani, if you just look at what's actually happening in New York right now, what's happening? Violent crime, homicides at an all-time low. At an all-time low. That's a good thing. Meanwhile, you have the universal pre-K actually making people's lives better. They're working through a real affordability agenda, figuring out, okay, well, we have to raise revenue somewhere. How do we do it? What's a good way to do it? The pied-à-terre tax. If people are avoiding paying state income tax in New York and they're living in places like Florida, but they keep a second mansion in New York City, okay, tax the second mansion 1%. If someone's keeping a mansion like that, in New York City, right? Be back in 1 second. Let's play the clip of Aaron Parnas. I know my dogs are going to bark. Someone's at the front door. Play the Parnas clip with Pritzker, and then I'll open up the front door, and then I'll be right back.
Do you believe, based on that the president is fit to command America's troops right now?
When you say, is he fit to command? I mean, this is a person who clearly is having mental health challenges. I mean, you can see it every day when he sits there at that desk with, 20 people, 30 people around him, talking to the press because he can't apparently stand at a podium for a long period of time. This is somebody who says inane things. And you can't figure out why he's doing it from one moment to the next. And then he likes to talk about the dementia tests that he's taken. Like he passed a dementia test. We should all celebrate. He passed a dementia test. He thinks it's some sort of IQ test. It isn't an IQ test. And all I can say is he's not passing the dementia test that all of us have for a president. He's not speaking rationally or acting rationally. So, I mean, I didn't want him to be president because I never thought that he was capable of being commander in chief. And I think he's proving it.
Yeah, basic capacity. Are you capable to lead? The guy's not capable to lead. He's not fit. He's not fit mentally for the office. He isn't. And it's because I observe it. It's very basic. It's very common sense. We all see it. And part of this whole problem, and again, we talk about this in WTF America, is that we've somehow been told by corporate media and business leaders and other people who are not leaders at all that this is normal, when it isn't. When it's the job of leaders and the job of institutions to block and stop this psycho and not to enable it by even sometimes having these debates with them on the stupidest shit. We're validating the existence of the thing as a real issue. I mean, when these idiots want to talk about, oh, Sophie Cunningham in the WNBA, and could you believe it? And I know I can't. I don't care. I really don't care. I truly don't give a shit about Sophie Cunningham. I don't care. I don't even know what you're talking about. It isn't a thing I think about. I care about what's happening with so many Americans across this country, not Sophie Cunningham getting fouled or, oh, can you believe it? There are 2 NBA players they're guys and they're really tall and they're going to do the WNBA draft. And this is what the liberals want. This is what the liberals want. What are you even talking about? What do you even mean? What are you even saying? I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Oh my God, do you disavow Hassan Piker? Do you disavow a streamer and then you take his statements and you splice it together in 6-second clips where he's reading comments a lot of times? And do you have to disavow every word that some streamer said? Why does that have to do with that? Why does that have to do with anything? Oh, can you believe that Mamdani said that? I'm looking at Mamdani's actions right now. Oh my God, the pied-à-terre tax. It's going to make people flee from the city. Do you even know what the pied-à-terre? Do you even know what do you mean they've already left the city? That's the issue. The issue is that they're secretly living in the city and they're avoiding state income taxes by saying they live in Florida so they can avoid a state income tax. Meanwhile, Florida is actually screwing most Floridians because they got to make up that tax revenue somewhere. And you know where they're making up that tax revenue from? From the massive property taxes, from the massive utilities, from the massive day-to-day taxes that people have in their very regressive tax policy, where the people who are not the rich are the ones getting screwed. It's why you actually have a lot of real issues with the standard of living, there. But the issue with the pied-à-terre is, okay, millionaires, you have a second home here. You're utilizing New York services while you're avoiding the state income tax here. Pay 1%. If you have a $20 million home in Manhattan, pay $200,000 a year so we can use that to try to help the New Yorkers who actually live here in the city. Now, you could push back and you can go, Ben, that's too much. That's too little. That to me is the type of debate that we should have. That's an actual discussion. And we can be like, well, maybe we improve it here. Maybe we do this, maybe do that. Not to say, oh, what we really need to do is be taught, is have ICE and Border Patrol have electronic gloves that when they touch you, you get electrocuted. Did you hear that? That's the new thing. ICE is going to be trying out because they're pathetic losers. It's the same people who hide in containers who need electric gloves. You know who doesn't need electric gloves? Police. You know who doesn't need to cover their face? Police. And I think there are fair criticisms with how some policing goes down. When I was a litigator, I handled civil rights cases and I met really good officers I met great sheriffs who I respected. And great sheriffs and good officers don't like the bad ones. There are bad ones. I handled cases in Bakersfield and Kern County where there were people who worked for the sheriff's department and people who worked for the police department who were like dealing drugs. And there were people who were covering it up at a high level. And when I was litigating, we had to get the Department of Justice at that time to issue an injunction to try to reform the systems and to push out some of the bad apples. But they don't cover their faces. You know, I mean, good cops don't see any need. Good cops, good police, good sheriffs, they want to be involved in the community. They want to be at community events to build trust. You're not talking about masks and electronic gloves. The hell are we even talking about here? You know, you think about the Treasury Department yesterday. They announced that they were deleting the database regarding beneficial ownership. Did you see that for LLCs? And this was a database that was set up by Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz, both in the Trump regime, right? Waltz is the ambassador to the United Nations. Rubio is the Secretary of State who is angry about keto or whatever he's upset about. You know, Waltz, when he was a Congress member, Rubio at the Senate, this was a bipartisan piece of legislation that was passed in 2020. Its purpose was to prevent drug traffickers. Pull that back up. Its purpose was to prevent drug traffickers and money launderers from Russia and China and elsewhere and other international criminals from setting up shell companies in the United States, because you have to declare who's affiliated with these entities, and it's kept in a government database. Now, I did an interview earlier today with that Congress member here, Malinowski, Democrat from New Jersey, former Congress member, and he was a co-sponsor of this bill. And he said, Ben, look, there were some problems with it. I said, what? He said, there were some small businesses that got pulled into this, and they ended up having to pay a fee of a few $100, and it really wasn't intending to bring them into this. And so there were some businesses frustrated. He goes, I want to be fair, you know, and they were frustrated because they had to pay $100 or $300 to fill out a form, and they didn't think they'd have to fill out the form, but they were brought into this thing, which wasn't the intention. He's like, so we can fix it. If that was the issue, let's fix it. But why would we delete the database where we've kept records of money laundering, where we've kept records of the kleptocrats, of the financial crimes, of the sex traffickers, of the drug traffickers who launder money through U.S. shell companies? The Treasury Department, through their financial security division, just deleted the database. That's crazy. Why would you delete the database unless you are pro the criminals? Okay, I want to have conversations about, could we make this better? Can we fix this? How do we address this? How do we deal with that? But the Trump regime, they're on the side of the bad guys, right? You all get that, right? Like in every aspect, like line it up. Line it up. They are the criminal cartel. They are the bad guys. And I think we just have to recognize that. And we don't have to, this isn't a debate of, oh, well, this is where the Republic, the conservatives. These people aren't conservative. They're not fiscal hawks. They're not China hawks. They're not Russia hawks. Stupid hawk. They're not hawks, okay? These are people who cover up child sex trafficking, who aid and abet money laundering, who steal and pilfer from the American people, who hate our troops, who run up crazy deficits, who increase our debt. It's about to hit $40 trillion, who are starving our sailors and Marines who are courageously serving right now in the Persian Gulf. And many of them don't want to be being involved in these war crimes that the Trump regime is involved in, which is adding to the psychological torture that they are facing. And they see the so-called commander-in-chief, this weak, pathetic thing, this weak, pathetic gremlin, hiding and cowering in catering containers. Sick. It's sick. Even Caroline Levitt's resigning. Do we have the clip of Caroline Levitt where she was saying regarding the Epstein files, we're done. We're done with this. We're not going to talk about this anymore. Says who? Says who? What do you mean we're not going to talk about this anymore? I guess we are. We're going to talk about it every day. Here, play this clip.
And that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So we're moving on from that.
Okay, well, we're not moving on from it. Katie Fang isn't moving on for it. The MeidasTouch network isn't being moved on from it. This independent media ecosystem isn't being moved on to it. But I want you all to understand the very deliberate creation of an independent media ecosystem, and is what we talk about a lot in WTF America, because it's very deliberate, it's very intentional, and it was a recognition by all of us that as corporate news had bent the knee, we need to control the narratives with the truth. What Fox does very good, and I mean this in a bad way, but what they do good is they control narratives. They set the framework. They've got Fox, they've got New York Post, they've got an entire ecosystem that then kind of pushes it and launders the narrative. And then, like fish in a barrel, you know, they set the bait and then people buy the bait and they start living in a narrative, a bent reality that is created by Fox and the oligarchs to distract us, for us to live in the Overton window that they've created, to move the Overton window and normalize behavior of authoritarianism that's not okay, and to divide us. And so what's important that we build, and what MeidasTouch was created to do, and this is what I want the legacy of the network to be, even beyond this great YouTube channel and the great network, is to create an ecosystem that puts out the truth and then has experts and everybody kind of fill in the gaps and then set the narrative, not react. It's not a reaction to, it is, here are the most important issues. The cover-up of child sex trafficking rings, the distraction from that, which led to the catastrophic war in Iran, the terrible treatment of our sailors and our Marines, Donald Trump's cognitive and physical decline, how weak and pathetic he is, all of the grift, all of the horrific inside trading, inside dealing. Just make it clear that that's what we care about. That's what the people are. Let them be like, oh my God, are you the Democratic Socialist, this podcaster? Or do you disavow this person? WNBA? What do you think about Sophie Cunningham? What do you think about that? What do you think about, is this movie a little bit woke? Movie a little bit woke for you? Oh my God, could you believe that they like this movie? Let's hear what Fetterman has to say. Stupid. But know the tactic. Understand it. Don't underestimate the strength of the tactic. Okay? You know, and sometimes I hear people say, are you guys doing more than just talking? And I say this sometimes. I go, well, Fox just does talking. And no one will go, oh man, they're so weak. All they do is talk. All they do is like do media and they cover stories. I mean, that's not what it is. People go out. It's a very powerful force for bad. But I want to let you know that it's an honor to have people like Katie Fang and Allison Gill and Aaron Parnas and the Legal AF folks. A lot of the Legal AF folks are litigating these cases right now. And it's an honor to watch them fight in court and to do what I don't see a lot of politicians are doing. And I ain't stealing their valor at all. I'm just honored to be associated with these heroes. And I'm honored to do whatever I can to be helpful, whatever that is. WTF America is the book. Pre-order it now. We'll be right back after. But seriously, pre-order it if you can. We're trying to build the momentum. So you can Google it. You can hit the QR code. Put in the comments if you've pre-ordered it. Good momentum. We need to keep it going though. So pre-order it now. You could Google WTF America. Hatchet is the publisher. All right, let's take our last quick break of the show. We'll be back.
They say that every day your business is late to AI, you fall 2 days behind. But how do you keep up? The competition is only moving faster. Fortunately, there's NetSuite next. You probably know NetSuite, the AI-powered business management suite that securely connects all of your data. It's a unified suite that brings your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM into a single source of truth, trusted by over 44,000 customers. NetSuite Next is the next huge leap in how businesses get done. Because AI is built into everything you do. It automatically surfaces custom insights throughout your day, and AI agents work alongside you to solve the problems and handle routine work. And anytime you have a question about anything, just ask, just like you're having a conversation with a colleague. NetSuite is customized for a wide range of industries, so it supports the way your business truly works. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, it's time for NetSuite Next, where your business meets AI. If I needed this product, that's what I would use. For the first time ever, you can try NetSuite Next for free. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, go to netsuite.ai/Meidas. Built for every industry, ready for every boardroom. netsuite.ai/Meidas.
Summer's the season where I actually want to feel good, not just look good, and one really simple thing I've added to my morning routine is Monocora honey. It's rich, creamy, tastes incredible, and all you need is 1 heaped teaspoon each morning. I'll take it straight from the spoon, but you could also put it in your iced coffee, smoothie, or yogurt. Monocora is ethically produced in the remote forests of New Zealand, where bees gather nectar from the Manuka tea tree. It has 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than regular honey, helping support your cells and gut. And it naturally contains MGO, a rare antibacterial compound that sets Manuka honey apart. Now it's easier than ever to try Monocora honey. Head to monocora.com/Meidas to save up to 31% plus $25 worth of free gifts with the starter kit, which comes with an MGO 850 plus Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's monocora.com/Meidas. MEIDAS to save 31% plus $25 worth of free gifts.
Welcome back to Ben on Breaking News. There's apparently a blue screen right here, and there it goes. There I go. I bet you when you watch other, do you even watch other news? But I bet you when you do, you don't have like the dogs barking at the front and go, I got to get my dogs. I should get an office or a bigger studio. But I like being here. I like hearing my daughter in the background. I like seeing the dogs. I like being close to my wife, and the niece is here also, who's also works at Meidas. So what do y'all think about the interview I did with Professor Morandi? Did you all watch that? If not, it was one of the videos I did this morning about Iran checkmating Trump. Getting a lot of good feedback from it. And I thought it was an important, you may have seen Professor Morandi elsewhere. And, you know, I think it's important. Part of the big problem, existential problem to what's happening in the United States is a willful ignorance, disinformation, recklessness, a unwillful ignorance, just stereotypes, sometimes rooted in racism, sometimes rooted in tropes, sometimes rooted in just what you read. And so I think that there are, you know, and especially when it's being peddled by the guy who hides in container trucks in Turkey, you know, who's the main purveyor of lots of disinformation. And, you know, the way he talks about Iran, he's like, oh, you know, they're like cavemen. They're like hiding in their caves and the military's all destroyed and people are being, you know, it's such disarray. They're falling apart. And if we just do nothing, the pipes are going to explode. They're going to be horrible. And they're for them and they're suffering. And, you know, so for me, I wanted to hear from, you know, what a prominent university professor in Tehran is saying about the day-to-day life in Tehran, in Iran, the sentiment of the people, and also to kind of better inform us, is there a possibility for a deal? I mean, obviously Trump is incapable of doing a deal, but what would that look like? What do the Iranian people, what do his students think about the American people? What do they think about everything that's going on right now? I mean, their leader was killed. Their leader, the Ayatollah, was, say what you want. I mean, Trump was hiding in food containers, catering containers in Turkey when he had Air Force One. I mean, when Trump and Netanyahu killed the Ayatollah, the guy was in his house. He was in his house with his daughter, his granddaughter, his son-in-law, and their extended family. That's where they were. They weren't in a bunker. They were just having dinner in the house. And the granddaughter was killed. The daughter was killed. The entire family was killed. And so, you wonder also, how do the young Iranians feel about what's happening? And he was very forthcoming in a way. You could be like, well, he's just going to say what is helpful to Iran. Sure. But what he did say was, he said, and he's like, there was a lot of young people in Iran, he said, who were very sympathetic to the West. There was a growing feeling amongst young people before the war. He said, even after the 12-day war last year, that's what he said, especially amongst young people, that they identified even closer with the U.S. and were looking for reforms within the Iranian system. And he said, now, since Trump and Netanyahu slaughtered the girls in Manab and engage in many other war crimes, which don't get as much attention, but it's horrific war crimes, and have, when there were deals actually happening, that's when Trump invaded in February. That's what the Oman foreign minister said. There's a deal, and then Trump invaded that night. And then last year in June, there was a deal, June 2025. And then that's when Trump invaded, and there was the 12-day war. And so he said, well, now the young people have a completely different perspective. And amongst Iranians that he talks to, he said there's a greater desire now to develop a nuclear weapon, is what he told me, because they see it as the only way to long-term protection. And they said they don't even listen. They said, Trump's words at this point are, because what Trump posts, everyone realizes it's market manipulation, and it's just a bunch of nonsense, is how they think about his, how they think about Trump's words there. And it was a very interesting perspective for me. We spoke for about 30 minutes, and I think we have to at least listen, especially if there's a desire to make a deal. That's why there's a whole chapter called "No Deal Donald" in WTF America. And when I was a professor, I am a professor, but when I teach, one of the topics I teach is negotiations. And at the very most basic level, you have to appreciate the existence of the other side. In a negotiation, both sides are going to have to give, and you're going to have to reach compromises. That's part of a negotiation. And Donald Trump views the negotiation as a tool to extract that which he couldn't during the war. And by the way, if you look at Donald Trump's past dealings, I think you'll see also that that's how he's always dealt with the negotiations. For his shortcomings, for his inadequacy, for his business failures, for his loser behavior, he viewed negotiations as like a trick. And again, this is a major part of WTF America, his toolkit. One of the toolkits is negotiation as subterfuge. Negotiation for Trump is a way to deceive, because people let down their guard. And then he sucker punches you in the back of your head while you're not paying attention. And he tries to extract, then he just relentlessly uses the negotiation to kind of trick you and to pressure you and to pit you against other people and to compromise you by sucking you in and drawing you into that's one of his tactics. The other tactic is the litigation stuff, where he always loses his lawsuits. He's a litigation loser, right? I mean, if you look at what he's doing with BBC, right? Trump's scared. We all know Trump very scared of BBC. BBC terrifies Trump, right? We all know that by now. He thought he'd be able to deal with BBC, but in the end, BBC got him. And so where Donald Trump is right now, he's had to beg a Trump-appointed judge in the Southern District of Florida 6 to 7 months after a deadline passed in the BBC case. Can I amend I want to change my complaint. I want to change my complaint. And I want to say that I'm no longer injured $10 billion because of my businesses. I'm injured because my reputation has been harmed $10 billion. And also, we believe that there are 13 instances of people playing the BBC Panorama documentary in Florida, 13 clicks. So therefore, Judge, there should be jurisdiction because those 13 people who saw it now think less of me regarding the January 6th insurrection. So I want to amend my entire lawsuit, even though the deadline is passed. And I want I need to amend my complaint. If you look at Trump's dealing with BBC, it's very similar to Hormuz. It's like the parallels are, so, and this is how he litigates. Splashy announcement, $10 billion, epic fury. It's his playbook. $10 billion, BBC, Hormuz, epic fury, midnight hammer. Okay. There are some people who litigate like Venezuela, right? And say, just enough. What do you want to do? You want to be corrupt together? We'll be corrupt together. All right. Got it. Right. Some of the law firms that bent the knee, the ABC settlement with Stephanopoulos, can give you a lot of examples like that. Right. But then there are some people who fight back like Iran, BBC, and they show that when you stand up to him, I'm not comparing BBC to Iran, I'm just saying when you resist or you fight back aggressively, he loses. But he makes it very painful while he loses, because for him, he's got billions of dollars. He had his daddy's money. He's got for him, this is all part of the game. For most human beings, and in war as well, and in litigation, most humans take it seriously. He doesn't. He's divorced from emotion and reality and connection and things, which most humans mourn. All he cares about is himself. Most humans care about others. Most humans care about being in the litigation. For him, it's just like, whatever. Unless his life is on the line, then he hides in food containers in Turkey. But otherwise, he doesn't. He just, plays the game. So he'll amend it and make it very messy and just kind of screw with your life and ruin your life and make it difficult. Think about Iran. It's not like it's easy for Iran, right? As Professor Morandi tells me, shop owners are suffering. There is inflation. It's not easy. There is economic harm. There's been a lot of deaths. It ain't easy. But they've taken on en masse resistance as their mantle. And Trump doesn't know what to do with that. But he'll try everything, right? We're semi-negotiating. We are low-keying it. I'm going to bomb your bridges. The new Ayatollahs are good. I like them. They're responsible. Oh, they want to make a deal with everything. He'll throw everything. And any human who feels a scintilla of shame would be ashamed to behave this way. He doesn't. He doesn't feel those things. He only fears his own death and losing his own money. And that's really the only thing. And his own embarrassment, which is why when you go personally, he backs down. He hides in food trucks. If you notice his deposition, he will run away from that deposition like the plagues that are spreading here and abroad because of his cuts to the various health departments, right? Because he's terrified of that. He doesn't like to testify at the cases. The same way you go to war and then all of a sudden he gets scared because war's war. It ain't a game. You can label it epic fury. You can brand it. This ain't a marketing gimmick. This is real. This is freaking real. And then he's like, oh, I'm just going to, we'll just wait. We'll just wait. 2 weeks. Then it becomes like his healthcare plan. Then there's a 2-week loop. I talk about that in WTF America. And there's a loop. All right, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. And where this all ends is blame. He then blames whoever it is, because in catastrophe, in times where people are fearful, it's really becomes a sick person who uses the fear to divide, but that's his go-to. So to him, when there is panic, when there is fear, he can then blame, oh, they did it, they did it, they did it. Biden was the perfect foil for him because Biden was older and trying to bring people together and couldn't really adapt to this environment where everything would be weaponized and they come up with fake shit. Like Gavin Newsom had to discover in California, right? Wait a minute, you're blaming the wildfires on smelt fish and you're saying I care about the smelt and I didn't turn on a faucet hose in Canada and that's why the fire spread. And we laugh and we go, oh, Trump's crazy. He's crazy. No one believes that. But he repeats it over and over again. And these sick psychos he surrounds himself with, they start repeating it. And then before you know it, that becomes a view that then on CNN or one of these shows, they'd get an idiot like Scott Jennings. Oh, no, you know, and then you have to like debate this idiot. No, that's not happening. Oh, yeah, it is happening. What is happening? And then they start to like scream and it's like, okay. And then the viewer leaves like, I can't, this is just this. I don't like politics. I don't want to hear any of this. I don't even know. You're all, you know, you're all just kind of crazy. And oh, one guy saying that he's going to cut my electricity by 50% and I'm going to be rich. I'll just go with that guy. I just want you to know the game, the dynamic, and how we get out of this hell is you have to recognize that that is a framing that we've been trapped in. By the way, not merely through Trump, but generationally. We've been trapped in this really since, I mean, going back a very long time, but really for this last 60, 70 years, it's kind of been trapped in this cycle that inevitably brings you a fascist, a vessel of authoritarianism here. And that vessel exists internationally. This is all connected, right? Now, the one part about it is that, as I said at the outset, and as the one person who texted me said, you know, thought my commentary was funny. It's like, damn, like our authoritarian's like some like real freaking loser, man. Like hiding in the truck. Like he couldn't even be like, I got you. You know, I've seen the memes of, you know, fight. It was like, okay, you want us to believe that the fight guy is the guy who's hiding in the food containers or the catering containers. It's truly like a humiliation ritual for our country. And I just want you to think about what's happening internationally. You have Taiwan preparing for a potential invasion of China. You have Putin right now in an island that Japan says it's part of its territorial areas, which Putin is showing an aggressiveness towards Japan. You have war escalating, of course, between Ukraine and Russia. Russia able to strike into Ukraine much more frequently now because Ukraine is out of ballistics. Ukraine striking into Russia at logistics centers and other areas, although it could be a very difficult winter for Ukraine right now if they don't have the interceptors, which Trump ran out of the interceptors. You have in the Middle East, the Mecca Pact between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey. You've got in Israel, I've been seeing a lot coming out from the Netanyahu regime saying that Syria is the next Gaza. Seen a lot of statements coming out there. And then you've got our guy here hiding in catering containers. Crazy. Weak, pathetic. Pre-order WTF America. Comes out October. You can Google WTF America. Get your copy now. And make sure you hit subscribe here. We covered a lot. We talked about a lot. We covered a lot of bases. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a video now on Katie Fang's court hearing. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.